To decide how to vote in this general election, we have to know what an MP does or is supposed to do. Let us begin with two basic thoughts. If you're going to choose a person to do a job, you need to know what the job entails and what is the qualification needed to do that job. That is how we would go about searching for a plumber or a manager or a person for just about any other job you can imagine. Now, the job description of an MP is not laid down anywhere, not in the constitution, not in the parliamentary rule books or guidelines, not in any manual or act. So what is the job description? Well, the idea of democracy says that citizens come together and decide on what is good for them and what laws should govern them. In a representative form of government, we select people who will do this for us. But their job finally is to bring to the discussions a common sense that comes from being a citizen. And yes, they're supposed to be present in the parliament when it is in session and to vote on the bills and ask questions about what is happening. They don't need to be experts. The constitution makes that very clear. The Lok Sabha website provides us no guidance on what MPs do. Here's what the Parliament website of Great Britain has on the job of an MP. Since we have modelled ourselves on the Westminster or the British system, their guide can be a good one on what MPs are expected to do. So here it is. An MP represents the interests and concerns of the people who elect him or her. They're involved in considering and proposing new laws. They can ask government ministers questions about current issues or raising issues that affect their constituencies. They usually split their time between working in Parliament itself, working in the constituency that elected them, and working for their political party. Some MPs from the governing party become government ministers with specific responsibilities in certain areas such as security or health or education. They're supposed to attend Parliament and participate in the debates. Some of them can serve in a committee that goes into a specific issue. Also, when they're back in the constituency, they may hold meetings or have open sessions where people can come and discuss matters that concern them. Also, they may engage with a wide variety of people so that they are aware of issues that they can raise or discuss in the Parliament. One of the things that often bothers a number of us is what the responsibility of an MP to his or her constituency is. There seems to be a lot of misunderstanding about this, so let's understand it. An MP is supposed to respond to the concerns and problems of the constituency. So one of the basic things that an MP can do is discuss an issue with you and take it up with the concerned official or department, or send a letter to the concerned minister, or even meet the official or minister. Now remember, all of these are supposed to be things that he has to do to solve a genuine hurdle or problem that a person or the people in the constituency face. Also, depending on the nature of the problem, the MP can raise these matters publicly in the Parliament so that the concerns are addressed and problems solved. But please note that an MP is not supposed to be getting jobs for individuals, getting your children admission in colleges, funding individuals, or doing us any other favors. And here we have to deal with an unpleasant truth. Since the condition of our public delivery services is poor, and we live in a society where access to basic amenities is difficult and resources scarce, very often we, the electors, go to the MP, our elected representative, to solve problems that belong to the realm of the executive. A BPL card to be made, a government officer not responding to your request, admission of your child, and even help with healthcare. We'll end up going to the elected representatives who are only meant to address our issues in the Parliament and not engage in the everyday administration of our locality. While it is for us to decide whether this is right or wrong, don't forget that if he or she is doing us a favor, the same might be done for someone else, the person he asked for a favor to get our job done. Going against the system and its laws is also a form of corruption. So if we expect an MP to do something that is wrong or that bypasses the law norms, then have no doubt that the MP will be doing so only by doing that person a favor, which could border on the wrong or the unethical. Now let's see what qualifications a person needs to have to become an MP. The person needs to be a citizen of India and he or she should not be less than 25 years old. And the person should possess other such qualifications as may be prescribed by or under any law made by Parliament. There's only one other qualification that you need, which is that you need to be a registered voter in any constituency. So three things. You have to be 25 years old, a citizen of India, and a registered voter. There are some additional specific requirements for contesting the reserved constituencies and for contesting from some states, but the broad qualification is that you need to be an elector anywhere in the country. An elector is someone who is registered to vote. There's nothing more about the positive qualifications or eligibility requirements to become an MP. However, there is a long list of disqualifications, and these can be found in Article 102 of the Constitution and the Representation of the People Act of 1951. ranging from being of unsound mind and having been declared so by a competent court, to holding an office of profit under the government of India or of any state, to being convicted. There's a long list that could disqualify you. But please note that these are disqualifications, not qualifications. Some may think that a person should be a graduate or an expert, an activist, a leader. Well, no. You may want the person to be anything you like, and that can be the basis of your vote. But the Constitution says if a person is about 25 and an elector, you have what it takes to become an MP. Because in a democracy, the rule is of the people, not of experts or scholars or leaders. You just need to be a citizen.